Good?
You good? You can start.
All right. How we doing this afternoon, Holmes County? All right, all right. I've got all the administrators, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, so, yeah, the CRAZE training, those that have been in the district for 4 or 5 years, y'all seen me do this training before, and obviously you see my screen right there. So CRAZE training, civilian or citizen response to active shooter events. This law was passed about 4 years ago, where it requires that everybody on the school side has to go through this training. Obviously, with everything that's going on in this day and age, it's a very hot topic, and needs to be discussed. So, excuse me, I'm a former director of safety for Department of Education, and I'll just tell you real quick, the reason I started my company, I was going out to school districts, and I saw that safety is, and will become a billion-dollar industry because somebody wants to sell you something. Most notably, what they want to sell you is a camera. So we have cameras everywhere we are. In our classroom, we have cameras looking at us at our houses, in our classrooms, in our hallways, on the front doors of our buildings. We have in our Sunday school, we have in our parking lots, but a camera stops nothing, ladies and gentlemen. A camera tells you what happened. So, and statistically speaking, it's not going to, the shooter is not going to live anyway. So we're planning in their motive to give them their 5, 10, 15 minutes of fame that is going to show up right on our phone, and it's going to be on the news for a week, and then it's going to go away, but they're getting their fame. As you know, we have Uvalde on the heels of what just happened at Uvalde, and I will touch on it very briefly when the time comes. And I'll tell you towards the end of my presentation, the best way to keep you safe, and it only costs you $5. At most, it costs you $5. It doesn't cost cameras and all that stuff. But anyway, so no, I'm not a big advocate for those cameras, but I will give you other resources. So our outline today is going to be disaster response psychology, is going to be the actual active shooter events, and then the civilian response to active shooter events. So, I talked to, I guess I was talking about Sergeant somebody. Hopefully you guys can hear this. This is the actual 911 call from Columbine that happened in 1998. And just take a listen to what this teacher says. She's just a librarian. She's a librarian. She calls 911. So hopefully you guys can hear this.
Dixon,
Yes, sir.
when you shared your screen, did you tell it to share? Did you optimize for audio? Because we can hear it, but it's like it's in the background playing.
What was the, I'm sorry, it's loud on my end. What was the question again? Did I share it with what?
When you did share screen, did you say share audio and optimize for audio? Because we can hear it, but it's very faint and it's in the background.
All right, tell me how to do that. I just did it says your screen share, and I'm at the top right now.
Okay, it's kind of hard for me to do it without. When you click on share screen, at the bottom it's going to ask you.
Oh, I got share sound right here.
Huh?
Hold on, I got it. Oh,
You got
I got it.
Okay.
Look at this. Hold on, I got it. Tell me if this works.
All right.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay. We've got help on the way, ma'am. One. Okay. And I said, everything in the library, not just coming into that, then I'm okay. Okay, we got it, okay? And I don't know. I guess I can try to go, but anyway, he's right outside that door. I'm not supposed to go to the door. Okay. I told the kids to get on the floor. I told the kids to yeah, we've got alarms going off now as well. Yeah, there's one. This one is... Hey, on the floor! Okay. Okay, I don't know, I didn't... It's up. It was outside of the... I don't even know if I saw him, what he was wearing. He was out there, he looked like he was... The cat kept on totally good video today.
All right, you guys can't see me anymore, can you? Okay. All right, here is a reenactment, and I'll put my face back up just a minute when you see this video. Here is a reenactment of the Columbine shooting, and it is it's very sensitive. Children, I hope you don't have any children in there. If you do, you probably need to go somewhere else because it is kind of sensitive. But this is a reenactment of the events that took place in Columbine.
Yeah, I think there's a shooter on the school.
Live units on the way, can you? Can you tell me where you are? Hello.
What?
Can you tell me where you are?
Well, they're shooting in school.
Coming. Perpetrator has a plan.
Well? That really doesn't matter now. They're gonna die. Oh, hold up. You got a phone call.
Several shots fired. Andre.
Is the gun pointed at you? What? What? Are you dead yet? Shut up! Shut up!
Threatened victims. One of the victims was trying to reason with us.
Go inside right now. Shut up! Look at that right there. Shut up!
I'm just gonna try to get my face pulled back up on here. What's the best way to do that?
You have to stop sharing your screen.
All right, and then go back to share screen. How about that? Is that better?
Yeah, we can see your screen.
Okay. All right. So the reason we show you Columbine, of course, that happened in 1998 again, and dang it. Trying to get to move over to the next slide. Hold on. we go. Sorry about that. The reason that we talk about Columbine, because actually when Columbine was going on, there were hundreds and hundreds of agencies that were there, but they were parked out in the parking lot. So those two kids, whatever you want to call them, whatever pronoun you want to use, they had free reign of that school for over an hour. They walked around that school and they shot up that school, and they got ammunition, and they saved a bullet, one bullet apiece, so they could take their own lives. But meanwhile, all law enforcement was out in the parking lot. Set aside what happened at Uvalde, because that was not the proper response, but at the time, the response for that active shooters at the time in 1998 was to secure, put in place, and wait on the SWAT team, which is what in Uvalde, and they were not supposed to do that. After Columbine, the powers that be came together and they said, we got to do it different because people are getting killed and these things are happening in very, very short time. We got to be able to do it different. So they came out with a couple national curriculum that all of your officers, regardless of what their badge says, regardless of who holds their certificate, regardless of where they get their paycheck, they're all trained to respond and to go right away to isolate, eliminate, whatever politically correct term you want to use, to take out the threat, to stop the killing is how they're trained. So, and that's a crazy training. I'm one of the instructors, and we go and we shoot and we use paintballs and anyway, so we go through all these scenarios of how you're supposed to do and how law enforcement is supposed to respond. Unfortunately, Uvalde did not turn out that way as they waited, as you saw. A lot of you probably saw the video. They waited like over 70 minutes before they actually entered the building, but that is an exception to the rule. So you're supposed to go in right away and isolate, eliminate the threat. So that changed the way that we respond. No, you never name them because you're doing it. I don't even say their names because they're doing it because they want notoriety. And I'll go ahead and tell you, when an active shooter makes a decision to become an active shooter, it does not matter if you have, it does not matter what you have at that front door. You full Marine Corps there, full National Guard. Once they make that decision, they're going to go do it. And most likely they're not going to survive anyway. Parkland, Florida, the one that happened Valentine's of 2018 was the largest mass shooting on American soil where the shooter lived. So he killed 17 people in 4 minutes. Our disaster response is the background science of how to behave in high-stress events. Look at this, just so hopefully you will have some type of plan. With that being said, this is not on this presentation. This is just my expert opinion, and you said something about the superintendent being in there. I'm gonna go ahead and throw this out to you guys, being that you guys are leaders of the district, talking about how you respond to things. What makes active shooter events so scary and so difficult is there's not a playbook for how you're supposed to respond. So your educators, your teachers, your administrators, or to be an administrator, you had to come up through the ranks. So you've been a teacher if you're not there already. Teachers live, and administrators, we're going to work on number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5 today. And that's what, when I go out across the country and I have teachers, administrators come up and say, what am I supposed to do for an active shooter event? I can tell you from an expert opinion what you're supposed to do, but I can't make you do it because everybody responds differently. And we all respond one of 3 ways. Let me show this slide to you real quick. We all respond in one of 3 ways. We're going to fight, we're going to flight, or we're going to freeze. So our body, either you're in high stress events, either you're a fighter, a flight, which means you're going to run, which means that 13 check's been looking good for the past 4 years, and today's the day I decide to retire, and I'm headed out. I'll send you a letter a week down the road. Or you're gonna freeze up. Now, your babies, I've got 2 very small children. Your pre to about your 4th, 3rd, 4th, 5th grade, they're gonna be a reflection of your teacher. They're gonna do whatever your teachers do. 5th, 6th grade above, they're going to make their own decision because their brain will allow them to make their own decision. So I'm of the opinion at the beginning of school, this obviously has to be at the graces of the superintendent and Dr. Sargent and all the decision makers. I'm of the opinion we need to have this conversation with our students above, 6 and above, 7 and above. Boys and girls, we're going to have a serious conversation today in my classroom, and we're going to talk about what are we going to do if there is an actual lockdown, true lockdown. We're not talking blood, we're not talking screaming, we're not talking bombs, we're not talking bullets. There is an actual lockdown. What can we do inside of these 4 walls to keep ourselves safe? And get our head out of the sand and quit acting like it's not happening. And instead, let's come up and be proactive and to figure out what we can do to help ourselves, to keep ourselves more secure. What I'm telling you that you tell your students is that you put as many closed and locked doors as you can between you and the outside world. Some of your kids are going to say, I'm jumping out the window and I'm running home and playing on TikTok and on Facebook and I'm going to tell everybody about it. That's fine and good. Accountability is going to be a nightmare, but they're safe. I'm not a believer in that, and I'll circle back around at the end and tell you why. Some of you are going to say, we're going to put the teacher's desk, my desk, we're going to put the file cabinet, the bookcase, all that against the door. That's fine and good. That's what you want them to do. I think that you should be inside of a locked classroom door where nobody can get in. So that's fine, but you let it be their idea. That way they're more likely to retain information as opposed to you saying, we got to do this, we got to do this. And then if you do have this conversation with these children, don't get caught up in passing out responsibilities to the big strapping linebacker that's going to be the next big 5-star linebacker everybody's scared of because he's big and he can move whatever needs to be moved. He may be in the principal's office when something kicks off, or he may be over in the corner sucking his thumb hollering for mama. And it'd be the little girl that hasn't said anything in her entire educational career that's 4'5", weighs 90 pounds with bricks in her pockets that's over there throwing stuff on the door. So let it be their response. Let it be their opinion, their on what they think that they should do. Also, I get asked this all the time, Mr. Dixon or Cooper, what happens if we're stuck out in transition, or a child is stuck out in transition, or a child is going to the office, or a child has been to the bathroom, or you know, whatever, they've been to the counselor, whatever, they're not inside the room. What do I tell them? Well, there again, there's not a playbook for what you have to tell them. But what you can suggest to them, as I said, is to put as many locked doors as you can between wherever they are in the outside world. And you remind them that little boys can go in little girls' bathrooms and little girls can go in little boys' bathrooms if something like this were to happen. If you go into the bathroom, you close the door, barricade it, lock it, etc. Then you go and you get on the toilet and you stand on the toilet and you squat down and you get off your phone. Because an active shooter is not going to come around rattling doors on a bathroom stall. They're going to come by looking for feet. So, and you also tell them at that time they can go in a custodian closet, they can go in the teacher's closet, they can go in teacher's lounge, they can go in the principal's, but you got to tell them these things because we tell them all the time what they cannot do on a day-to-day basis, but you have to remind them what they can do in the event of an actual active shooting. So those are the things that I think we should have a conversation with our children about what needs to be done, about what they can do, and to give them options. So that's my 2 cents on that. So the disaster response, there's three stages. You've got the denial, you've got the deliberation, and you've got the actual decisive moment. If you paid attention to the script of the Columbine High School, what did the caller, what did the librarian, what did she think was going on? Anybody? She thought it was a production. She thought they were filming. She thought it was a cat drum because her mind said, no, this is not happening. This is not happening. So the first stage is that it's denial. This is not happening. And there again, we're closer to a negative number percentage that this will happen as opposed to a positive percentage, a whole number. But we need to have a plan just in case something were to happen. We talked, all right, this right here is your stress response. You're about 150. This is beats per minute for your heart. So when your heart is racing when it's beating 150 beats per minute, at that 150, you have tunnel vision. You have zero peripheral. You have no smell. You can't see anything around you. All you see is in front of you. When you get up to 175 beats per minute, you have zero control over your body. All you know is what your brain has said, what your brain knows. I'll show you a quick video here in a few minutes of what I mean by that. Depending on time, I may or may not show you. But you have 175 at beats per minute. You have zero control over your bowels. You have no smell. You have no vision. All you're doing is what your brain is trained to do. So, for example, right now, something major would have happened where you guys are sitting right now. I would surmise that your brain would take over. The majority of you would go out the same doors you came in. And from my screen, I'm looking at, I know you have exit doors because I've been in that gym before. There's multiple ways out, and you say, yeah, I'm going to take these alternate ways out. However, yet, your brain takes over and you have no function, and all your brain knows, I came in through those double doors over wherever you came in, so that's the way you came out. Here's an example of this very thing that happened at a nightclub in, here's the layout of it. This is your nightclub right here. This is exactly what happened. Your fire started. If you look at the top right screen, that's where your fire started. The red dots signify all the emergency exits. Or for layman's term, to bring it back home a little bit better, think of a movie theater. If I was standing in front of you, the majority of you would say, I'm gonna take those exits right there by the screen. That's how I'm gonna get out. Research shows that's not what you're gonna do, because your brain is gonna take over, you're gonna come out the same way you came in, and you're gonna follow everybody else. So here's these exits right here that were at this nightclub. A fire started on stage. This is actual video. We'll skip it for time purposes. This is the aftermath of where everybody was killed. And if you look towards the lower bottom, you'll see a number that says 31. That is where 31 people were trampled to death because their brain kicked in and they didn't use the alternate exits. Instead, they went out the way they came in. One person tripped and fell. Well, at first they thought it was part of the production. The stage caught on fire. They thought it was part of the production. 31 people were killed right here because one person tripped at the front door, and then they all just piled the bodies up like 5 foot high. People were just stomping over them. And that's how they were killed. So that's what I'm saying, is to have an alternate plan in place. For your planning, combat breathing, that's kind of crazy to try to get you to do that. Mental scripting, calm yourself. We talked about script and practice. We talked about taking that up with our kids and being able to give them plans. Let me tell you right now what the motive of an active shooter is, and let's talk about this stuff. First, the definition of an active shooter event involves one or more persons engaged of killing or attempting to kill multiple people in an area occupied by multiple unrelated individuals. So again, this active shooter event involves one or more persons engaged in killing or attempting to kill multiple in an area occupied by multiple unrelated individuals. When you take that, the key words out of this is multiple and unrelated. These are not domestic incidents where there's revenge on their mind or a domestic situation is going bad. That's not considered an active shooter event. That's considered a homicide or a manslaughter, depending on if they survived or not. So the definition of an active shooter, I'm not sorry, the motive of an active shooter is to shoot, maim, kill as many as you can in the least amount of time possible. Again, shoot, maim, kill as many as you can, least amount of time possible. What I want to do. So let me ask this question real quick, and hopefully somebody in the audience will respond. Right now, where you're sitting, if the fire alarm was to go off, what are you guys going to do? Right?
Okay. Hey, we get outside.
You're going to go outside, right? So doing what we do to stop these active shooter events and to stop being victims, we've got to change the way that we do our safety practices. For example, you just told me that I can come to Holmes County School District and pull the fire alarm and wait for you guys to come to me. It happened in Parkland, Florida. He went at dismissal, and he went at dismissal where school closed. He went up to a third-story bathroom where he loaded up his rifle. He got all his ammunition together. He told a peer of his that happened to be a child of a Secret Service agent. He said, "You better get out of here because things are about to get messy." He walked the hallway, he pulled the fire alarm. Everybody came out to the hallway, and he started shooting. He shot in one classroom, and that's because the door was. If you paid attention to Columbine, those two idiots, they went to the library, the cafeteria, the hallway. They didn't go to individual classrooms. So we have to change the way that we do things. Your buildings are made, I've been in your buildings are made out of rebar, concrete, brick, and mortar. It's not going to spontaneous combust. So if the fire alarm goes off, what I suggest that you do, and this is the best time to do it, is before your teachers come back, explain to them, what I suggest that they do is to take roll, wait on direction from the administrator of whether or not you evacuate. But we've got to get past the days of every time we hear the fire alarm go, we automatically just pick up and run outside. That's not getting it. That happened in Parkland, Florida, Jonesboro, Arkansas. Right after that, 11-year-old pulled a fire alarm, a 13-year-old stayed out in the bushes, and he shot his classmates as they came out. But we have to change the way, and I'm going to recommend that to you, whether you're at church, whether you're at Dollar General, whether you're at Kroger, wherever you are. If from Walmart, the fire alarm goes off, you look, listen, and feel, and if you're not involved, then you stay put and wait on directions. That's what I'm going to recommend, and I recommend that you change your plans and you talk to your teachers when they come back about doing that very thing. So also, shoot, maim, or kill as many as you can, least amount of time possible. Take my motive and give me where that fits most in your educational day. Where does that fit most likely in your educational day? I'm sorry, yeah. Take my motive, shoot, maim, kill as many as you can in the least amount of time possible. That's the motive of an active shooting. Where would that fit most in your educational day?
I'm saying lunch period,
Yes?
transition,
What else? All right, what else?
recess.
Good, what else?
Some said dismissal.
Arrival, dismissal. There you go. And then you have your assemblies. Very good. Yes, very good. So those are the ones that you hit on: your arrival, dismissal, transition, cafeteria, PE, assemblies. So yeah, very good. That's where it fits most. And there again, if you go look at where Columbine was, that was in the hallway, that was in the cafeteria, and that was in the library where there were a bunch of kids. So you take that motive, but we never practiced during those times. And when I was SRO, and before I became director of education, when I was SRO, we never practiced, and I tried to get my administrator to practice. And this particular person said, "No, we're not doing that. You know what a mess that would be?" And I said, "Yes." I said, "But that's how you figure out how kids are going to respond." So I'm not saying that you do. I'm thinking that it would be a good idea to do it. Just do a lockdown drill during that time, because I'm telling you what's going to happen in your cafeteria. Your kids are going to crawl up under that desk, up under that table, just like in Columbine, like the teacher told them to do, crawl up on that table. And you saw the Columbine video, they crawled up under the table, and they're going to wait to become a victim, because it's that mentality: if I can't see them, they can't see me. So those are things that we have to practice. Cooper, what do we really do in the cafeteria? One of three things: you get out, or number two, the dining hall is separate from the actual cafeteria where they cook. So you tell your kids, you go get inside of the actual, where they do the preparation, and you lock the doors, and that's where you're going to get. But you got to have, on your crisis planning, you got to bring those particular people to the table, because the cafeteria people don't know where they're going. But that's another suggestion of where you should practice those things. In transition, where do you go? It's whatever kids want to do. If they want to leave, they can leave. Then we'll go get the classroom, we'll get the classroom. So with all that being said, and I go on and on, but for time purposes, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to wrap it up shortly so you guys can get back to what you're doing. For time purposes, the number one thing you can do to keep yourself safe is to lock your classroom door. That's it. Uvalde happened because of a faulty door that did not latch. The teacher went outside. There was a bunch of mess outside, corruption. She went outside to see what was going on. She came back. She thought the door was closed behind her. It was, but it wasn't secure. He came in, and then you know what all happened in there. Sandy Hook Elementary. That was not urban. That was not a dangerous place. That particular shooter, his mother was getting $20,000 a month in alimony. Those were your CEOs, your business execs that lived in New York, but their kids went to school in Connecticut. Uvalde, that was not somewhere dangerous, and I'll miss Mississippi lifelong so I can talk about my capital. That wasn't Jackson. Y'all know you pick up the paper every day, there's another killing in Jackson. That wasn't downtown Jackson. There was a sound bite for a parent there, and she said, "We actually moved to Uvalde and paying a higher tax base to be safer here." So it wasn't a dangerous city per capita. Parkland, Florida, per capita, is one of the safest cities in America. It's a suburb of Fort Lauderdale, Florida. So these are not places that you would expect major incidents like this to happen. So what happened in Sandy Hook, and this one was several years ago, where he killed 5- and 6-year-old kids. What happened there is he had the school Elementary school had the buzzer and the camera on the front door. If I step on your toes, I'm sorry, I don't like it. I go all over the country and do this stuff, and it never stops anything. Unless I say I'm there to shoot the school up, because most of the time the secretary is sitting there, and all it includes is she looks up, they don't like active shooter, and they let me in, and I can go anywhere I want to in the building. Because you got a secretary that's doing 5 different jobs, getting paid $10, $12 an hour, and that's just one of the things she's got to do. They're like active shooter, so they let me in, and I can go anywhere I want to. That's what I get. They had the buzzer and the camera on the front door. He knew that because his mother was a substitute teacher there, not that day, because he killed her at home. But she had been there, been a substitute teacher. He shot his way into the school via the glass. He shot out the glass around the front door. He went to the principal, assistant principal, and counselor were all in a meeting. They came out to see what was going on, and he killed all 3 of them. He went to the first classroom, the door was locked. Didn't fit his motive. He couldn't get access to anybody. He went to the second classroom, the teacher, right after he shot the administrators, the custodian went running around the hallway hollering, lockdown, lockdown. That was a hero you never heard anything about. He went to the first classroom, was locked. He went to the second one. That teacher had taken all of her kids and put them inside an interior bathroom. This is elementary school, mind you, little bitties. I've got 2 of them. Put them inside an interior classroom, and there were so many people in this bathroom that she was standing between the kids and the door with the door closed, and the door would not even close all the way. There was so many people in here. He opened up the door, and he shot them 2 and 3 times point blank. One little girl survived because she was on the bottom of all of her dead classmates. He left there. He went to the next classroom. That teacher was in the hallway trying to lock her door. He eliminated her and the assistant teacher. The kids were in their classroom. They were hiding. He killed all of them. He walked out of the classroom. He went to the next classroom. Locked, 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 locked. Everything was locked. He couldn't get access to anybody. He heard the cops coming. Being the punk that he is, he killed himself. 27 killed, 6 minutes. So locking your classroom door, there's absolutely 0 negative to locking the classroom door other than it's not convenient. And we're lazy Americans and want everything to be convenient and at our fingertips. If we're not convenient, then why, when you go to Walmart, do you ride around the parking lot for 15 minutes trying to find your spot by the front door? We're guilty of it. This is what happens. But we've got to change the way we do things. And one of my sayings I came up with is safety is not meant to be convenient. We want to be able to park at our classroom door, be able to walk out, talk on our phone, walk in at 7:20, walk out at 3:20, and be on our way and not have to worry about locking doors. Nothing beats the ability to lock down within 30 seconds. An active shooter, and research will show you, all these active shooter events, they've never compromised, they never tried to compromise a door except for one. That was in Virginia Tech, and he chained those, it was at college, it was an independent building, he chained those doors. So he had time to compromise that one locked door. But these other shootings, they're not going to lock classroom doors. But just say, for example, they are trying to get inside of your locked classroom door. They're not shooting, and they're making themselves a stationary target for Holmes County's finest to get there and take them out. So there's zero negative to it. And if you have an interior closet, I recommend you put in a barrel bolt up high inside your interior closet. Not only you lock your classroom door, but you also go get inside of your interior closet and you lock yourself. And I can almost guarantee an active shooter is not going to not only try to get in your locked classroom door, but also come in and try to get inside of your locked closet door. It's just not going to happen. Couple things I want to tell you. There's never been a fire-related death in 60 years on a school campus in the United States. Because when these things were happening, policies, laws were put into place. We started practicing these things. We were practicing. We started adding sprinklers. We knew what to do. So there's not been any active shooter events. These things can be stopped, but it has to be bought in by everybody. from the superintendent to the school board president to all the way down to the youngest child. Everybody has to pay attention to what's going on. Most notably, what I'm saying by that, not only the physical part of paying attention to what's going on, but every one of these events that have happened, they put something on social media. Social media is huge, huge, huge. This last idiot put it all over social media. He told somebody, he said, be watching your television because I'm about to be famous. Also, there's 3 things. So social media is really big. Parkland, Florida, he put on YouTube, I want to be a professional school shooter. They're doing these things. There's things that these shooters have in common. There's 3 things. They, not all 3, but they have a mixture of them. Number 1, they're arsonists. They love fire. They're infatuated with fire. Number 2, they torture animals. This last idiot, there was a video of him and he had somebody riding. They saw a random cat walking down the road and they video burning the cat up. Somebody was driving, they saw it, and so he picked it up, went down the road and set the cat on fire and they videoed it. Same thing in Parkland, torturing animals. Same thing up in Sandy Hook. He tortured animals. They had 0 empathy, none. So you see that mess on YouTube, or your kids see it, or your children see it, your students see it, they need to be reporting that mess. That's not normal to be doing that stuff. And then number 3, they're bedwetters. They wet the bed. But the way we stop these things is we put our policies into place, such as locking our classroom doors and building healthy relationships with children. Not only your own personal kids, but your students, and teachers need to know this. They need to get where you're going to do what I say and start building relationships with these children, because the child knows what's going on, and if they trust you. Parkland, Florida, those kids laughed about him shooting up the school. They know what's going on. That's how we stop these things, is building trust. I would highly administrators and encourage your staff also to speak to a different child every single day, whether it's your child, whether it's your student or not. And number 1, focus on the kids who sit by themselves at lunch and at breakfast and walk between classes by themselves, who never say anything. They may just be a quiet person and don't like people. That's fine. You can figure them out pretty quickly. But you build a relationship with the right child, they'll come back and tell you what's going on, because they want to tell you. They want discipline. They want parameters. They want to be safe. Bus drivers, you need training. Bus drivers are the first one to see them in the morning and the last one to see them in the afternoon. You show me a kid sitting there the first day of school by themselves at 5, 6, 7 years old with 0 supervision, no mom, no aunt, no cousin, no dad, no brother, no sister, and it's halfway dark outside. I see a kid with a problem. That's not right. You show me a kid that shows up, and you know your children that shows up dressed for December and August, and I understand the jacket because they get cold. I'm talking dressed head to toe, beanies, the whole 9 yards. That's a kid with a problem. Young man dressed like this. I have no clothes. Mom and Daddy got into it last night. Daddy took all our clothes outside and burned them. I have no clean clothes. I have not seen Mama in a week. I don't know how to work the washing machine. That's a kid with a problem. And they come back to you and say, hey, I saw in the bathroom mirror where Johnny said that he's going to shoot up the school. That's a kid with a problem. That's a kid who'll tell you what's happening. Or I saw on social media, I heard at football practice where so-and-so is going to come shoot up the school tomorrow. That's how we stop these things. These things are not just random roll out of bed and become shooters. That's how we stop them, folks. Last thing I want to tell you, I want to leave you with, is there has never been a coordinated terrorist attack on a school in the United States yet. Yes, but it's coming. Osama bin Laden made the declaration prior to his death that the United States owed him 1 million children. We love us some kids down here. There's 3 things that make us act crazy and make us change our temperament. as adults. Number one, you mess with our heart. Number two, you mess with our money. And number three, you mess with our children. We love us some children. But there's people in this world who don't love our children like we do. He made a declaration that we owed him 1 million children prior to his death. There have been blueprints of schools in Texas found in caves in Afghanistan. There's a lot that goes on around here, even in Holmes County, surrounding counties, this state, that you never hear anything about. But it goes on. So what I'm going to leave you with today is that the feds put on this big run, hide, fight initiative several years ago. What they did not tell you is run means only if you cannot find a place that is secure. That's all run means. They didn't tell you that part. What I'm telling you here today is when you're in your classroom, you're in your office, you're in your school, you know what's inside of those four walls. You start running, you've got no idea what's on the outside. So I want to give you an alternative to actually just start running. Maybe you need to just secure your room and stay locked inside of your room and wait on the proper authorities to get there instead of automatically jumping out windows. Now, there again, you can't tell a child what they can and cannot do. You as administrators, you as teachers, you can't be fired because you ran. Because there is no policy in place what you're supposed to do. Because you can't tell somebody what they're supposed to do. You don't know how they're going to react. What I'm telling you is that I think you need to stay locked inside your classroom, secure, and I'm telling you right now in front of your superintendent, Dr. Sergeant, everybody, you do not open your classroom door for anybody. If they want you, they will come and get you. You cannot be terminated. You cannot be disciplined because you did not open up your locked classroom door, because that is a safety measure. You don't know who's on the outside of that door. I'm the chief of police. I don't care. Go get a key if you come in this room. I'm the superintendent. Go get a key if you come in this room, because I don't know who you are outside there. And I'm not getting up to look out the window to see. Hostage. You don't jeopardize 30 because you think somebody's at that door. Or I've heard people say, oh, law enforcement is going to slide their bags under the door. No, that ain't working for me either, because all I know is little Johnny, he went and stole his daddy's bags that morning. I don't know who these people are. So you stay locked down. A locked classroom door, folks, is number one way to stay safe. I'm going ahead and cut it out. My hour is up. I'll open myself up for any questions, any comments. If you do have a question, please walk up so I can hear you. If not, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for what you do. I'm right down the road. I'm one county over. I'll be glad to come over and help you guys out anyway. I know you guys don't do it for the money. You do it because you love children, and y'all are very instrumental in our children's lives. Please keep up the good work. God bless you, and I hope you have a wonderful school year.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Dixon. I appreciate you. At this time, any questions from anybody, principals, especially you? Any questions about active shooter drill, new administrators in the room, new to the district, new to the job, seasoned administrators? Any questions? Yes, sir. And ask, because he's not going to be able to hear you.
I guess the question would be, when you say you lock down, you're not going to open your door for anybody, so I guess you need to give the same command, lock down is open, to not open the door.
No, so let me make sure I got the question right. You said to give a command that is fine to open up the door?
Yes.
No, because law enforcement is trained, and this is one thing I think Dr. Sergeant and I are going to do is actually shoot a tabletop exercise and to see how law enforcement is actually trained. No, there is no command. No, you got keys, you want me, you may be in there 2 days, but you're safe. No, you don't do a command. I mean, you can, it's whatever, there again, it's whatever you want to do. I don't recommend a command. I recommend going room by room and saying, this room come out, this room come out, this room come out. Now, there have been people said all clear, but for all I know, sir, I'm assuming your administrator, is that Who's to say somebody had taken you hostage and said, hey, tell everybody open up the door? But it's whatever you guys want to do. I don't recommend it. I recommend your law enforcement, your whoever it is, them going to get classes individually and unlocking the door.
So, Mr. Dixon, do you make that same recommendation for a drill? I think the principal's asking if they're doing a drill, what's your recommendation for ending the drill to let everybody know
Okay,
the drill
yes.
is over? Is that what your question?
Yes, I'm sorry, yes. Yes.
So you're saying
I'm
yes,
sorry,
it's
yeah.
okay to make the announcement that the drill is over?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I misunderstood.
That answer your question, Mr. Pittman? Yes, sir. Okay. Any other questions? Please ask.
I have a question. I just asked about when we get done with the drill, 'cause I need to get clarification on it. To say to end the drill, we do it on. I want to make sure that the drill it relates. I don't want a real thing to happen, but just trying to make sure that I'm giving the correct wording. You see what I'm saying? So at the end of the drill, because I just didn't hear, when we say that it's concluded, the drill has concluded, and also in the duration of the drill, because the drills I participate in, when, okay, we would get on the intercom, okay, like if someone's in the building, we'll say like a person that they know don't work at the school, like Mr. Rucker is in the building, because that'll be a signal that they know that someone is in the building that shouldn't be there. And so then during that time, then they'll go like in the corner. They'll make sure the doors are locked. The doors should be locked anyway. Then like all the students are in the corners and the lights are off. So is that the type of drills? Because I'm trying to make sure that we practice those and we put those in place when that time comes. So does that suffice for like a drill in this case?
Yeah, that's fine, and these active shooter drills, it just says you gotta have one done, and like I told Dr. Sargent, it doesn't have to be anything really, you know, where this is and you don't say active shooter drill, this is a lockdown.
Okay.
We're in a lockdown, a full-fledged lockdown, this is what you need to do, and the kids can go over, get in the corner, and hide and whatever, and then yes, when it's all done, just whatever you wanna say to make it all clear, or our lockdown is concluded, or, you know, what, like that. One point that you brought up, I didn't completely hear you, is make sure you're not using codes and bells and whistles and all that stuff to signify as actual lockdown. You just say lockdown. Don't say, Sally, bring the book to the front office or something, because if I'm an intruder, don't I know I'm there? So why am I trying to hide? So you say, we are now in lockdown. And that's all you do. And then you go around as administrators, you make sure all your doors are locked. And the kids, they have to, main thing is make sure your doors are locked and nobody's in the hallway. Or if they are, they're locked down somewhere.
Okay, thank you.
And I'll tell you this, did that answer your question, ma'am? I'm sorry, did that answer your question?
You did. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
And let me tell you this too, because I saw this on another website, and especially while I'm in front of you administrators, I saw on another website where they put on the website the drill schedule. So the whole world knows when you're going to be outside, fire drills, that's the best time to come by and shoot up. So it's on their home page. Don't do that, and do not give your teachers a drill schedule for the year. Because they're going to say, okay, September 15th, y'all hush for 5 more minutes because we're going to be outside. No, they don't need to know. You can do a couple of them that are predetermined. The other ones, I mean, you do. Don't need to do that. Yes, ma'am.
The green and red sheets of paper.
This mic is right here, so kind of come closer for. I'm sorry.
The red paper that you normally have with the crisis management plan. Some plans say where you put it in the window. Some have even so much as sliding your door. What's your recommendation with the green and red paper?
You need to add yellow, number one. Green's all good. I'm glad you brought that question up. Thank you. You need to add yellow. Yellow is missing or too many students. Slide it under the door. That's what law enforcement is looking for if you just slide it under the door.
What is
Yellow is missing or too many students. Red, yellow, green. That's a good question. Thank you. I'm glad you brought that up.
People in the room should be placed on one of the sheets.
The question was, should the number of people in the room be placed on the sheets?
No. Nope. As long as you got accountability. And you use them on all your fire drills too. It'll go from a 10-minute mess to you'll be back in the building in 2 minutes. Teacher, go out there and hold up red, or green, yellow. Hey, Mr. Little Johnny, he's in the library. Okay, good. Turn to green, boom, back in the building. Don't put the teacher's name on it either, because you're telling the bad guy who's in there. Put the room numbers, all you want. Now, if they want to put one in the window, they can put one in the exterior window, so you can see it from the outside. What you want, what you're after. So red, yellow, green card, I'll touch on it real quick. What you're after is so your law enforcement, when they respond, if you feel safe, and if they and hopefully they'll do it, put red, yellow, or green. If they respond, the reason that you have that is because your first responders, i.e. your medical and your law enforcement, they come in, and when they breach the door, they get into the building, they're looking for these cards. So they see green card, green card, green card, green card. They're going to pass up these rooms, and all of a sudden they see red. This is where we need to focus our attention. It may be a teacher in there that's 9 months pregnant that's in labor, or maybe a child is having a seizure, or maybe a child, or whatever. A child's been hurt, and that's where they are. But it cuts down on that time and gets them to respond that much quicker. They're not going to really necessarily worry about a yellow card as much as they are that red or that green, because you got missing too many students. We can deal with that later, as long as they're live.
Another question. All right, Mr. Dixon, I don't think we have any other questions, sir, so we won't keep you on any longer. I certainly appreciate your time, and we'll definitely be in touch about those tabletops and the review of our crisis management process.
Okay, sounds good, Dr. Sargent. And hey, if anybody does have a question, just tell them to email me, call me. Best thing to do is shoot me one in an email. That way I can respond in writing. So I'm sure the wheels are turning. So y'all, anytime, this is what I do. Whether it's weekend or weekday, this is what I do. And again, thank you for what you do, and God bless you. Hope you have a wonderful year.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Outstanding. We appreciate it. You
Thank
do the same.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Bye-bye.